Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through the NBA slate on Draftkings for Wednesday, February the 15th. This is our final big slate before the All-Star break. We got a 10-game slate for tonight for Wednesday night, and then tomorrow on Thursday we have a little 3-game slate, and then that's it for a week. We'll have a week off, no NBA games until next Thursday. And I'm excited for this big slate. This should be a lot of fun. As always, guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each one of these 10 games, give a quick breakdown of the slate, what I do like, taking a first look on a Tuesday night when I'm recording this video. But as always, before we get started with the breakdown, if you guys are new to the channel, you have not yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well. Also, check out PrizePicks, sponsor of the video. If you guys are not signed up for PrizePicks yet, you can sign up. Use my promo code Noah. When you do sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Definitely check them out if you guys have not yet. But let's talk through this Wednesday slate, 10 games. We'll start off with the first game of the night, the Bulls and the Pacers. So we'll start off on the Pacers side. The big news to keep an eye on for Indiana today is Miles Turner's status. Miles Turner is questionable for this game. He did not play in their last game, and we did see Daniel Tice start at center. Now, Daniel Tice is also questionable for this game. So, the Pacers could be really shorthanded at the center position here. Tice did start, played 22 minutes. We saw Isaiah Jackson get a decent amount of run off the bench. He played 26 minutes. Just kind of a wait and see right now. If Turner and Tice are both out, I think Isaiah Jackson is going to be one of the best value plays on the slate just because he would have to play a lot without Tice, without Turner. He's a good per-minute producer as well. As long as he can avoid foul trouble, there's a lot of upside for Isaiah Jackson if he's the starting center. If they start Tice again, I think Tice would be an okay value. I wouldn't be like running to roster him, but I think at 3,500 he would definitely be playable. If Miles Turner plays, then obviously not interested in those guys. Turner himself at 7,300 is fine. I don't think he's like a great play, but I think he's playable. Tyrese Halliburton in 9,500 I think is a fine option as well. This matchup against the Bulls, it's okay, I think. Not like the greatest spot, but not the worst spot either. Halliburton's a guy that can put up a huge game in any spot, any matchup. At 9,500, I think that will keep his ownership down. So, yeah, Halliburton's a fine GBP play. Obviously, he does get a little bit of a boost if Miles Turner were to remain out. But the rest of the Pacers, Buddy Hield, Mathurin, none of these guys look that interesting. So, talking about the other side of this game with the Bulls, and looking at the Bulls today, they're not going to have DeMar DeRozan. So, this is kind of some big news. No DeMar DeRozan should mean a really big role for both Vooch and Zach LaVine. Now, these guys are not like that cheap. Vooch is 9,200, LaVine's 8,500, but man, the usage, the offense is going to run through those two guys. So I think Vooch and LaVine both look pretty solid here. Vooch is in a great spot. We've seen the Pacers be pretty bad defensively against centers this season. They've given up a lot of big games to centers. And if they don't have Miles Turner, if they don't have Daniel Tice, if it's going to be like Isaiah Jackson guarding Vooch, then I think it's a really good spot for Vooch. Obviously, no DeRozan is a nice boost in usage for him. So I'm interested in Vooch today. I'm interested in LaVine as well. I think between the two, given the price savings, I would prefer LaVine, but I think both these guys are in play. I could definitely see playing both in the same lineup, just because in a scenario where this game is competitive, it is high scoring. I mean, you could see just a lot of points for both Vooch and LaVine because there's not going to be a ton of other guys that provide much offensive production for this Bulls team. And then Patrick Williams, I think, does get a little bit of a boost without DeRozan as well. At 4,700, he's an okay value. Not a great option, but he's playable. I think Ayo Dosunmu gets a little bit of a boost as well. I think of all the Bulls value plays, he's probably my favorite at 4,400. I think he's fine. But the rest of these guys, I don't see too much else I like from Chicago. I don't really think I'm going to go to anything else here. Maybe Kobe White gets more playing time. So like at 4K, if you want to go to Kobe White, I think he could be a playable value. But that's really it for this game. Let's move on to the next one, the Spurs and the Pacers. Or not Spurs, the Pacers, the Spurs and the Hornets. So this should be a really, really fun one to target for fantasy, for DFS. Two teams that play fast, two teams that really don't play much defense. Really good spot here for pretty much everyone. I mean, on the Charlotte side, we'll start off with them. LaMelo Ball is in a fantastic matchup. I made him the thumbnail for today. We've seen the Spurs give up a ton of fantasy points to point guards this year. It's been a great matchup for point guards all season. And LaMelo's just been crushing lately, been playing huge minutes. He's been stuffing the stat sheet. I don't see any reason that doesn't stop here. I think he should have another really big game. I'm definitely interested in LaMelo as a pay-up option. Terry Rozier at 7,500 is okay. PJ Washington at 6,100 is fine as well. I think without Mason Plumlee, that definitely benefits PJ Washington. We've seen Washington's production be a little bit better lately, really ever since the trade deadline, ever since Plumlee got traded. Washington's had a lot of good games. So I think Washington at 6,100 is fine. And then Gordon Hayward finally popped off for a big game last game. He played 34 minutes, had 49 DraftKings points. 49 DraftKings points, I think that's definitely an outlier performance from Gordon Hayward. At this point, like, he's not a guy that's going to consistently put up those type of games. But if he is going to start playing 34, 35, 36 minutes on a nightly basis, he's still viable at 5,800. He should average close to a fantasy point per minute. Obviously, the matchup is fantastic. So I would say he's probably my third favorite play on Charlotte, behind LaMelo and then behind Mark Williams. I still think Mark Williams looks really good. His price tag is slowly coming up, but he's going to start at center. He's going to play probably about 30 minutes if the game's competitive and if he's not in foul trouble. Really good matchup as well. The Spurs are a team we like to attack pretty much everywhere, but even against centers, they've been a good matchup for centers. So I like LaMelo a lot. I like Mark Williams a lot. I think Gordon Hayward looks solid as well. PJ Washington, playable. Not really into any other Charlotte guys, though, so let's talk about the other side of this game with the Spurs. So Keldon Johnson is 6,600. I think he's in a really good spot here. Keldon Johnson's had some tough matchups lately against Cleveland, against Toronto, against Philly. Well, now he gets to face the Hornets, so I think this is definitely a spot where Keldon Johnson could maybe have a bigger game, a bigger ceiling game, maybe like 40, 45 DK points. Last time they faced the Hornets, he had 45 DK points. Obviously, no Devin Vassell, no Trey Jones right now, so Keldon Johnson's going to be kind of the lead usage guy. I think he is definitely in play at 6,600. Zach Collins I like quite a bit at 5,100. I think both centers in this game look like really good plays. Obviously, Charlotte has been a great matchup for centers kind of all season. Even with Plumlee no longer on the team, I still think this is a really good spot for centers. The matchup against Mark Williams I think is a +1. So Zach Collins definitely a guy that I'm interested in as well at 5,100. Without Pirtle, he's going to start, play 30, 32 minutes, and he's a good permanent producer. So I think he still looks really solid. And then Jeremy Sohan at 5K, I think is also someone we could consider. He's played 2 games since coming back from injury. Last game played 27 minutes, saw bigger minutes increase after just playing 21 minutes in his first game back from injury. He also moved into the starting lineup last game. So if we're going to get Sohan starting at 5K with no Trey Jones, with no Devin Vassell, with Pirtle no longer on the team, I think Sohan's a guy that could definitely be a guy that we roster a lot the rest of the season, because this Spurs team, they're looking to develop these younger guys. They want to see what they have in these younger guys. So I think Sohan's going to have a pretty big role the rest of the season. I think this matchup's really good. So at 5K, I definitely like Sohan today. I think Sohan, Keldon, Zach Collins all look pretty solid. Now the rest of the Spurs, Malachi Branham at 4,600, he's an okay value, but I think we're probably going to have better value on the slate. The rest of the Spurs, the only other guy that I will mention is Devontae Graham. Devontae Graham's kind of been their 6th man lately. He's been the guy off the bench playing the most minutes. Played 29 minutes last game, had 29 DK points. It is a revenge game for him against Charlotte. It is a really good matchup as well. I think Graham's another guy that's going to have a pretty big role the rest of the season with the Spurs team, just because the Spurs, they don't have anything to play for. They're going to try and develop some of these younger guys. So I think at 4K, Devontae Graham looks like a pretty solid value today. Even in tournaments, I think his ownership might get a little bit inflated just because he has been playing so well lately, but still viable as a cheap option. But that'll do it for this game. Lot to like here. A game you're definitely going to want to get exposure to. But let's go ahead and move on to the next game. So next game, Detroit and Boston. This could be another one we want to get some exposure to, specifically on the Boston side. Now for Boston today, we know they're not going to have Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart should be back for this game. It looks like he's going to play. Al Horford did not play on Tuesday night, so we'll have to wait and see if he plays for this game. Robert Williams has yet to play a back-to-back this season, so maybe they rest Robert Williams. And then it was reported that Jason Tatum was going to be out for the next 2 games. We just got an update that Jason Tatum's status, he's now uncertain to play. So there's a chance maybe Tatum plays in this game. If Tatum plays, I don't really like much from Boston besides Tatum, just because, without Jaylen Brown, I think Tatum's going to have a big role. The matchup against Detroit is really good. But if Tatum does play, that's going to take away from White, Smart, all these other guys. Now, in a scenario where Tatum remains out and there's no Tatum, no Brown, well, without Tatum and Brown, Derek White's going to continue to have a really big role. Even if Marcus Smart returns, I still expect Derek White to play big minutes. I still expect him to have plenty of usage. Might not have the ball in his hands as much, but I still think the shot attempts are going to be there. I think at 7K, he would still be an okay option. Wouldn't be like a slam dunk, but I think he'd still be playable. Marcus Smart, I assume, is going to be on a minutes limit in his first game back, so I don't think he's really going to be rosterable. Again, Robert Williams, he's yet to play on a back-to-back this season, so there's a pretty good chance he doesn't play today. If he does play, maybe we could go there, but they brought him off the bench Tuesday night, and he played pretty limited minutes, so just might be a situation I look to avoid today. Malcolm Brogdon at 6K. Now that Smart is back, I'm not as interested in Brogdon, but I still think if Tatum remains out, Brogdon should have pretty good usage playing with the second unit, and he would still be a playable option at 6K. And then Al Horford, if he plays, if he plays and Robert Williams doesn't play, then I think Horford looks pretty solid at 5,100. And then Grant Williams, if Tatum remains out, I think Grant Williams is going to be a pretty good value at 4,400. He's just been playing massive minutes lately. He played over 40 minutes Even not factoring in overtime, he played like over 40 minutes at the end of regulation in their game Tuesday. So if they still don't have Tatum here, I think we could expect a ton of minutes for Grant Williams, and at 4,400, he would look like a pretty good value. So there's a lot to like from Boston today. We're going to have to wait and see if Tatum plays. Seems like he's not going to play, but given they reported that his status is now uncertain for Wednesday's game, given they didn't just rule him out, maybe he plays. But we'll move on to the other side of this game, talk about Detroit now. Now, for Detroit, I don't like too much here. Not a great spot against Boston. This is a game that maybe has a little bit of blowout risk. I think if Tatum doesn't play, that makes it more likely the game stays competitive. On a 10-game slate, I really don't see myself rostering many Pistons here. Bojan, Ivy, Duran, these guys are playable, I guess, if you're playing a lot of GPP lineups, but nothing stands out from Detroit today. So let's move on to the next game, the Knicks and the Hawks. So the Hawks today, I don't really like too much on the Hawks. We will need to monitor the status of John Collins. I think John Collins and DeAndre Hunter are both questionable. Or DeAndre Hunter's probable, but John Collins is questionable. John Collins did not play last game. We did see Sadiq Bey start for the Hawks last game. Sadiq Bey only played 21 minutes, put up 20 DK points. If John Collins remains out, then maybe we could go to Sadiq Bey at 5K. I think he'd be a playable value. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, where they're priced at, I don't love either one. Trey's 9,600, DeJounte's 8,400. Both these guys are playable options, but on a 10-game slate, I wouldn't consider either one like core plays. Clint Capella at 6K is a fine center play. We've seen the Knicks give up some big games to centers lately. Without Mitchell Robinson, it's not nearly as bad of a matchup. But, Clint Capella is only going to top out at like 30 minutes, so it's really hard for him to go out there and put up like a GPP winning score when he's only going to play 28, 30 minutes. Maybe he goes out there and puts up like 50 DraftKings points in 28 minutes, but I don't consider Capella like a great option. He's playable, but not a guy that I'd be running to roster. John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, not guys I'm super interested in. The rest of the Hawks, I'm going to pass on. And then on the other side of this game with the Knicks, so Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, we can expect those two guys to have really big roles, play really big minutes. Randle's coming in at 9,900. Brunson's coming in at 8,600. I think Randle's an okay option on this slate. I wouldn't consider him a great play at 9,900. There's definitely other guys I'd rather pay up for. I think I'd rather go to LaMelo in a good matchup who has shown a bigger ceiling. But Randle's going to play huge minutes. The usage is going to be pretty solid. I just don't think on this slate he's a guy that I'm trying to prioritize. Same goes for Brunson at 8,600. Brunson had a huge game last game. 55 DK points, put up 40 real-life points. Look, the matchup against Atlanta I think is okay, but 8,600 for Brunson, that feels like an appropriate price tag. RJ Barrett was really bad last game. Don't really want to go there. Josh Hart played it pretty well off the bench. He played 28 minutes off the bench, had 39 DK points. While Hart's coming off the bench, it's hard for him to play like massive minutes, but maybe they move him into the starting lineup at some point. We'll have to see. If Hart winds up starting at some point, then maybe we could go there. But while he's coming off the bench, I'm not super interested in Josh Hart. And the rest of the Knicks, I'm pretty much going to pass on. So let's move on to the next game, the Heat and the Nets. So for the Nets today, not too much really stands out for Brooklyn. It's not the best spot here against Miami, so this is not a team I really want to get a ton of exposure to. Spencer Dinwiddie's been he's had a really big role with Brooklyn. He's going to continue to play big minutes. Usage is going to kind of run through Dinwiddie, but the price tag and the matchup doesn't make Dinwiddie look like a great play here. Same goes for like Claxton and Mikal Bridges. Cam Thomas's role has really come down. He's not playing the same amount of minutes, getting the same usage he was before. Cam Johnson maybe is a value. He started his games with the Nets, the two games he's played. He's played 28 and 27 minutes, been relatively productive in those two games, 32 and 23 DraftKings points at 5K. Cam Johnson's playable, but this is not a guy that I'm really wanting to slam into my lineups on a 10-game slate. I think his upside is somewhat limited. Most of my interest in this game is on the Miami side. So Miami, once again, going to be really shorthanded. Still no Kyle Lowry, still no Victor Oladipo, no Tyler Hero as well. So they're really thin at the guard position. Miami's going to continue to run pretty much an 8-man rotation. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, those are going to be the two guys that really dominate usage for this Miami team. I think Bam at 9,300 looks fine. Didn't have that great of a game last game, but I think this is definitely a solid bounce back spot for him. Jimmy Butler had a huge game last game, and I think his role is going to be pretty big once again. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. He almost had a triple-double last game. Minutes should be really strong as well. I would say of the two Miami stars, Bam and Butler, I would probably rather go to Butler, but both are definitely in play here. And then looking for value from Miami, I think Max Strus and Gabe Vincent both look like pretty solid values again. Max Strus started last game, played 42 minutes, took 20 shots, had 41 DraftKings points. He's going to play big minutes once again. He's going to have plenty of opportunity without Hero, without Lowry, without Oladipo. So I do still like Max Strus quite a bit at 5K. I think Gabe Vincent at 4,800 looks pretty solid as well. He played 34 minutes last game, fouled out in 34 minutes. Probably would have played more had he not fouled out. So I think we can expect big minutes for Gabe Vincent. I think the price tag at 4,800, he still looks pretty solid. So I think he's in play for value. And then Caleb Martin as a GPP option, I don't mind either. He wasn't great last game, but he should play pretty good minutes here. I think he's probably, like my 5th favorite play on Miami, but he's playable. Definitely like Jimmy, though. Like Vincent and Strus a lot for value. And I think Bam is playable, too. Martin, playable. Not really considering any other Miami guys, though. So let's move on to the next game, Cleveland and Philly. This is probably like the least appealing game on the slate. This should be a fun game to watch, but for DFS, it's not a game I really want to get much exposure to. Two really good defensive teams, two teams that play at a really slow pace. Joel Embiid, once again, is questionable for this game. Just going to assume that Embiid's going to play, and it's a really tough matchup against Cleveland, so I don't know if this is a spot where I really want to be rostering Embiid. I haven't really been playing Embiid much lately at all. Really hasn't come back to bite me. I mean, he's had good games, but he's not had like a 70, 80-point game. Like he hasn't really put up scores that like you have to win GPPs. And at his price tag of 11.3, you kind of want Embiid to go out there and put up like 70, 75 if you're going to roster him. And in this matchup against Cleveland, I think that's kind of unlikely. So not super interested in Embiid, not super interested in Harden. The rest of the Sixers, I'm going to pass on here. And then on the other side of this game with Cleveland, so Cleveland, not a team I love either. Mitchell and Garland in the spot against Philly both feel priced about right. Same goes for Mobley and Allen. I might just full fade this game today. I mean, I only play one lineup for NBA, so like I normally, I'm gonna fade a lot of games, just because I can only roster 8 players. But I could definitely see, if you're playing 150 lineups, I could see sprinkling in some of these guys into your player pool. But I don't think there's any core plays or any standout options coming from this one. Definitely, like I said, that Cleveland-Philly game, fun game to watch, but for DFS, for this slate, it's probably one of the least appealing games to stack or roster players from. So let's move on to the next game, Houston and OKC. Definitely a more fun game to target. Two teams that play fast. Houston specifically, not the best defensive team. We'll start off on the OKC side, though. So for OKC today, really, really good spot for SGA. I think SGA definitely is up there with LaMelo in terms of like pay-up options for me. Really like this spot for SGA. Last time they faced the Rockets, I know he had a pretty good game. 66 Draftkings points, played 30 minutes. He's been playing huge minutes lately. Matchup's fantastic. Houston's been a great matchup for point guards. It's been one of the best matchups for point guards. So really like SGA today. He's definitely my favorite play on OKC. I think Giddey at 7,900 looks solid as well. His game log, not as pretty, but last time they faced Houston, he did have a really big game, nearly put up a triple-double, and with how fast this game should be played, I think that sets up really, really well for a guy like Giddey, who is going to get a lot of his production from scoring, rebounding, assisting, and it's a lot easier to get those stats when you're playing in fast-paced, high-scoring games. So I think Giddey's finally, or firmly in play as well. The rest of OKC, though, I don't really like too much else here. I know Jalen Williams has had some good games lately, but his price is up to 6K now. I think it's 6K. I'll pass on Jalen Williams. I'm going to pass on the rest of OKC. And then on the other side of this game with Houston, it's a really good spot for Şengün. I know Şengün's kind of been disappointing lately. He's had back-to-back tough matchups, though, or back-to-back bad games, but those have both been really tough matchups against Miami and against Philly. This feels like a big bounce-back spot for Şengün. Now, last time they faced OKC, Şengün was horrible. Played just 15 minutes. They got blown out. He was in massive foul trouble as well. But we've seen OKC give up a lot of big games to centers this season. He struggled last time they faced OKC, but the time before that, he put up like 60-something DK points. He put up, where is it? Let's see. He put up 65 DK points. So the ceiling in this matchup is definitely there. I would say Şengün is for sure my favorite play on Houston. Jalen Green at 6,800, I don't mind either. He's probably going to see a lot of Lou Dort, so it's not like the best matchup overall for Jalen Green, but the pace of this game, the usage without Kevin Porter Jr. should definitely still be strong, so I think Green is playable. But like KJ Martin, Jabari Smith, none of these guys look that great. Jayshawn Tate started last game. Didn't really do much as a starter, though. Played 24 minutes, had 13 Draftkings points. Probably going to pass on him, even if he starts again. Not super interested in Jayshawn Tate, so that'll do it for that game. Let's move on to the other game, or the next game on the slate, Utah and Memphis. So we'll start off on the Memphis side today. For Memphis, I don't love too much here. I think Ja Morant is a solid pay-up option. You can't go wrong with Ja. You can't go wrong with SGA, LaMelo. A lot of these, there's a lot of good, high, expensive point guards worth paying up for today. I think Ja could definitely fit that build. Utah's been a pretty good matchup for point guards this season. I think this spot in general is really good for Ja Morant. A matchup against, Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton. I mean, those are two horrible defenders. So really good spot for John Morant today. I think he is firmly in play if you want to go there. The rest of Memphis, though, like Triple J and Bane, don't love either one at their price tags. With Steven Adams still out, you'll see center minutes split between like Brandon Clark and Xavier Tillman. It's a good matchup as well, but neither one of those guys look like great values. Dylan Brooks has been horrible lately. His price tag's way down, but God, he's just not a guy that I ever get excited to roster, so probably going to pass on him. Ja is definitely the standout play from Memphis. Now on the Utah side, Lauri Markkanen's 9,100. I'm going to pass on Lauri Markkanen here. It's not the greatest spot against a good Memphis defense, so don't really see myself going to Markkanen. Jordan Clarkson at 6,900 feels priced about right. I think Walker Kessler's in a sneaky good spot. Memphis without Steven Adams is definitely a much better matchup for centers. Usually we don't like to target Memphis for centers, but without Steven Adams, I think this spot's pretty good for Walker Kessler. Minutes have been pretty good as well. Last game he was in foul trouble, but prior to last game he's been playing like 30-plus minutes a night. So I think at 5,900, Walker Kessler is definitely in play today. Colin Sexton should continue to start at point guard, should continue to play 30-plus minutes a night at 5,600. I think he's an okay option. Price tag's slowly starting to rise, but I still think he's playable. The rest of Utah, though, I'm going to pass on. Kelly Olynyk at 5,100, probably going to pass on a 10-game slate. Talen Horton-Tucker, minutes came way down last game. I think 20 to 22 minutes is much more likely for Talen Horton-Tucker. The 27 minutes, I don't think nearly as likely. I think he's going to be like in the low 20s most nights. When he's playing low 20s minutes at 4,300, not really going to offer a ton of upside. So let's move on to the next game. We got two more games to hit, Dallas and Denver. So for Denver today, we'll have to monitor the status of Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. I think both these guys have been out like the last few games. This is their last game before the All-Star break, so maybe the Nuggets just elect to rest both Gordon and Murray here. We'll have to see. Obviously, Jokic, we can expect to have a really big role. I think the matchup against Dallas is definitely solid. Dallas traded away a lot of their best defenders, so it's definitely a spot where I think Jokic can have plenty of success. If there's value on this slate and I can pay up for Jokic, I have no issue going there. I would consider some of those pay-up point guards better options for cheaper, like LaMelo, SGA, Ja, but I still think Jokic is fine. But the rest of Denver, I don't really like too much else here. Maybe if Murray and Gordon are out again, we could go to MPJ, we could go to Bruce Brown, but Bruce Brown's not been that great lately, even without Jamal Murray, and he's normally a guy that I like to roster, but his last few games without Murray have been pretty underwhelming. At 5,200, I still think he's a playable option. He does have point guard and small forward eligibility, so he's a guy that's you can easily roster him with the flexibility he has. But that's pretty much it for Denver. And then on the other side of this game with Dallas, I'm not really going to look to Dallas here. Luka and Kyrie, with them playing together, I just don't think they're going to be worth these price tags. Luka is 11.7, and for Luka to pay off this price tag, he needs to put up 65, 70, and I don't know if he's going to offer that consistent upside or that consistent floor on a nightly basis. Now, sure, Luka could go out there and put up 70 any given night, but I think you're going to see a lot of 50, 55-point games from Luka, which is still good, but that's not going to win you a slate. And when I'm playing Luka at 11.7, I'm wanting 70-plus from him. I think Jokic more likely to give you 70-plus. So not super interested in Luka, not super interested in Kyrie. Kyrie, was pretty good last game, and he's been good the last two games, but God, it's hard to really stomach paying this price tag for Kyrie when he's playing with Luka. But if he continues to put up these good games like this, if he continues to play 40-plus minutes a night, wouldn't be surprising to see Kyrie, go for 50-plus DK points again. But I'll probably pass on him. The rest of Dallas, I'm probably going to pass on these guys too. Christian Wood is 7,300. He's questionable for this game. Keep an eye on this. I don't think Wood's really going to be playable if he plays. But if he doesn't play, you'll probably see more minutes for a guy like Dwight Powell. Dwight Powell, not someone I really ever get excited to roster, but in this matchup against Jokic, you would think Dwight Powell would have to play a lot here if they don't have Wood either. So maybe we could go to Dwight Powell for value, but that'll do it for Dallas. I don't see too much else I like on Dallas today. So let's move on to the last game of the night, the Pelicans and the Lakers. We'll start off on the Lakers side. So I think the Lakers are going to have LeBron back for this game. Reports are that LeBron is listed as questionable, but I saw it looks like he is eyeing a return for this game. So seems like LeBron's going to play this game before the All-Star break. I don't think the Lakers play Thursday. Maybe they do. I don't think they do. I think this is their last game before the break. So LeBron, if he's back, not really interested in it. 10A AD would obviously take a little bit of a hit as well if LeBron is back. Now AD finally had a big game last game. It was in limited minutes. They got blown out by Portland, but he did put up 52 DK points in 31 minutes. Last time they faced the Pelicans, he did have a really big game, and this is This has been a pretty good matchup for centers. We've seen the Pelicans give up a lot of fancy points to the center position this season, and especially as of late. So I don't mind AD today, but I wouldn't consider him a priority play. AD would obviously look a lot more appealing if LeBron remained out. And then the rest of the Lakers, like Russell and Schroeder and these guys, Rui, I'm not super interested here. You could maybe go to these guys if LeBron remains out, but I think it looks like LeBron's going to play, so I'll pass on the rest of the kind of secondary Lakers. And then on the other side with the Pelicans, so the Pelicans not going to have Zion still. CJ McCollum is questionable for this game. CJ McCollum did not play their last game. If CJ McCollum doesn't play, I mean, we can expect a massive role for Brandon Ingram. Ingram at 8,200 would look like a really good play here. He took 24 shots last game. Didn't have like the greatest game overall, but usage would be fantastic. Without Zion, without McCollum, we could expect just a ton of opportunity for Brandon Ingram. So I'd have a lot of interest in him if CJ remains out. Even if CJ plays, I still think Ingram is fine. Just wouldn't be as good of a play. J-Val at 5,800, I kind of like here for GPPs. He was disappointing last game against OKC, but last time they faced the Lakers, J-Val went berserk. He had 44 DK points in only 24 minutes, and he had to leave that game early due to injury. Would have had a bigger game had he not gotten injured last game, or last time they played the Lakers. We know J-Val is a good permanent producer. He's a guy that offers a lot of upside. Like, I think J-Val is kind of interesting for GPPs. I don't think anyone's going to play him. He's definitely on my radar in tournaments. But I'm going to pass on the rest of the Pelicans, I think. The only other guy I'll mention is Jose Alvarado. Just in a scenario where CJ McCollum doesn't play again, we can look to Alvarado for value. Alvarado is a pretty good permanent producer. He played 29 minutes last game. That was with him getting into some foul trouble. I would assume he plays a little bit more than 29 minutes today if McCollum remains out, and still cheap. Alvarado would still be a good value, again, if McCollum sits. But that'll do it for that game, guys. That'll do it for this 10-game Wednesday slate. Like I said, this is our last big slate before the All-Star break. We'll have one more slate to talk about Thursday, a little 3-gamer, and then we'll have a break. We'll have a week off with no NBA. But hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate you watching. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, go check out PrizePicks. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code NOAH. If you look at the bottom of the screen, when you do sign up with promo code NOAH, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Definitely check them out if you guys have not yet. But I wish you the best of luck on the slate. Appreciate you guys watching the video. As always, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.